Okay, now you can say it.
Hi, morning.
Okay, it's another beautiful day here in southern Connecticut, and Susan and I are going out for a ride. And this is the first really full ride that she's done on her e-bike since we've done the conversion. We went out for a short test, and as a result of that test, I made some small modifications. The first is that she used to have the button for the e-bike was located on her handlebars, and to use the handlebars on her left side, she would have to slide her hand backward a little bit, use the palm of her hand to engage the button. And when I did a test drive myself on that, I found it a little uncomfortable, so I've repositioned the button so that it's on the inboard side of her left shifter, so all she has to do is depress it with her thumb. Very nice and easy. The second thing, if you've seen the last video that I've changed that you'll notice in this video, is that I took the back rack off the bike, which was holding the battery case. And I found a saddle pack. It's the largest pack I could find to fit underneath her saddle, and now that's where the battery has been relocated to. So the whole point of that was to bring the bike more back into configuration of what a typical road bike looks like. So at first glance, you take a look at this bike, my guess is you have no idea that it's an actual e-bike. And so we're going to go out today. We're going to enjoy this beautiful summer day, this summer weekend, and I'll be talking more about my experience on the e-bike later on in the video. So here we go. We're going to be taking off. To get started, Susan, reach behind you and turn your switch on.
I did already.
Absolutely, she knows how to use it. Okay, so we're off. Well, we just went through the center of town, and one of the other things I forgot to mention that's new on Susan's bike is that we put a reflex bike computer on the bike. It's a product that's made by Wahoo, and the reason we went in that direction is that Susan has a Wahoo speed and cadence sensor on her bike, which we use with our smart trainer. And this is kind of the first test of that too. So far, it all is working out perfectly. Man, what a nice day it is to ride. Boy. So, when Susan was at work the other day, I took her bike for a ride, and the focus of that ride was to find out just how much mileage that Susan can expect to get out of a battery charge. And the battery and the speed of this system is rated to take you about 17 miles an hour without pedaling for a time of about 50 minutes. And that's assuming that you're just holding the button and going. So my guess was, well, that's probably based on how she's going to be using the feature of the e-bike. She'll probably get twice that distance. So that was my goal, is to set out, ride the bike as though I was riding it like Susan, which is to say, use the power assist on all the hills, and in some cases on the flats to pick up a little more speed. And the other day when I went out, I had a really strong headwind, so that was kind of helpful too, because I found myself on certain times trying to think to myself, well, Susan's not going to be wanting to fight these headwinds, so more than likely she'll give herself a little boost. So anyway, I was trying to replicate what I believe will be her riding habits, and went out and I rode for 36 miles. And after 36 miles, I actually got a little tired of riding, and I thought, wow, this battery is still going strong. The last 2 miles that I rode, I decided to see if I can run the battery out. So I switched from running periodically on the battery to almost full time for the last 2 miles. And in fact, the very last mile that I rode with the bike, I actually didn't pedal at all. And I was still maintaining at least 17 miles an hour on most flats. Of course, again, that day was pretty windy, so headwinds, tailwinds, they do impact you. But remarkable. So my guess is that based on Susan's riding habits and how she will be using this e-bike feature of her new bike, she can probably expect to easily go 40 miles on a battery charge. That's pretty damn good. I think I also mentioned in the first video that I did about the conversion to the e-bike is that my estimate was that the motor, which weighs 5 pounds, and the battery, which I think is around 3, added about 8 pounds of weight to the battery, or to her bike. And at that point, when I hefted the bike up a bit, I said, boy, that feels like a heavy bike. The bike itself, I think, comes in around 21 pounds, maybe 22, probably closer to 21. So you're talking a 28, 30-pound bike, and it felt heavier than that. And the reason I think it felt a little more heavy than that is that when I originally did the bike conversion, I had no real good options for hanging the battery pack off the bike other than using a bike rack that I owned that attached to her seat post, which again added quite a bit of weight to the bike. So where I'm going with all this in terms of weight of an e-bike is that, going back to the video that GCN put out about how e-bikes compare with road bikes, or are e-bikes fun, or something along that line. I can't remember the title of the video. I originally said that the bike they were riding was made by Specialized, and turns out it was made by Giant, not Specialized. And back to the very beginning of that video, they actually weighed the difference between a high-end road bike and the e-bike that the presenter was going to be riding. That e-bike weighed 42 pounds. Holy crap. You run out of battery on a 42-pound bike. Good luck climbing hills with that sucker. So, coming back to my riding experience on Sue's bike, during the 36-mile test ride that I did with it to determine battery life, there were 1 or 2 pretty steep hills, although they'd be short hills, that I thought, you know what, let me ride up this hill as though the battery had died on me, and let me just see what kind of strain I would be under with that additional weight. Well, I can be honest with you, it wasn't all that much. I mean, yeah, naturally there's going to be more weight, and yeah, naturally it's going to slow you down, but is it something that's going to stop you dead where you have to stop riding and be picked up by someone and take you home because your battery went dead on this setup? Absolutely not. So the bike to me is relatively lightweight, considering it is an e-bike. To convert her bike, or any bike, in the package that I set up was just under $800, like $750 and change, but that included buying an additional pack. So I'm sorry, yeah, a pack to store the battery in the back on the rack, and quick disconnects for the front wheel in the event that you're out on the road and you get a flat on that front tire. You still want to be able to do a quick disconnect, drop the wheel out, and do a tire repair. But I gotta tell you, for anyone who's just interested in getting in road biking, or coming back from an injury, or riding with a group of people who are a lot more accomplished and more fit than you, this is an incredibly great solution for getting out and being able to enjoy road biking. And as Susan keeps reminding me, you do get a workout. You absolutely do. Just because you're not killing yourself climbing a hill doesn't mean you're not still pedaling along on the flats and putting in a workout. So I wanted to do a follow-up video on Susan's e-bike, and here you go. I'm not going to climb the hill, not today. Thanks for asking. But again, you can take a look at the package that she's got together here in terms of the bike. You can barely tell that there's a motor on the front, and yeah, it is a large bike, a saddle seat on the back or saddle bag on the back. But in general, it still looks just like a road bike. We love it.
I love it.
How do you like the position of the button now?
It's perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't even know it's there. I just go, oh, I need a little boost. Bing.
Perfect. Okay,
Perfect.
cool. Miles an hour. Go ahead, go. Miles an hour. Miles an hour. 19.5.